And for more on the Ebola epidemic, I'm joined by Stephen Morrison from the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Washington, D.C. He is their Director on Global Health Policy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this new case in Spain, a nurse being the first person to contract Ebola outside of Africa. She is part of that medical team that treated an infected person, and we often think that medical conditions outside West Africa are much better, more advanced. So what does this case say?
Well, I think it's another tragic instance in which a caregiver is treating someone who is dying of Ebola and is exposed. I don't know the circumstances as to how well protected she was and how anomalous the exposure was. We don't know. All we know is that she's been exposed and infected. And I think it's another lesson of, not assuming that simply because the quality of care in a Western setting, like in Spain, is superior, dramatically superior to most of the conditions that we would see in Sierra Leone or Liberia or Guinea, that just because of that the risks are not real risks, and that people need to be reminded, those in the health profession, of the procedures, the protocols, the discipline required in order to have totally assured protection.
And Stephen, I want to turn your attention now to what's happening at international airports, or what should happen. Do you think that there should be stricter or extra screenings? Just a short time ago, the U.S. President Barack Obama said that there will be additional screenings in the United States and in Africa. What do you make of that decision? Do you even think it'll make a difference?
Well, it's hard to predict whether it will make a difference. Let me just say that, the problem here is that a person who has been exposed to and infected by Ebola does not become symptomatic for some time. It could be 8, 10, 15, 20 days. So that person can go undetected. There's no rapid test. You can't insist on vaccines before they travel because there are no vaccines. So there's a certain vulnerability that that person may not even realize he or she's been exposed and infected, and is moving through transport, not contagious, but then suddenly will become contagious. How do you screen? I think the president's step is adding a new layer of vigilance at the major ports of entry in the United States, and they will be paying obviously special attention to people who originate in the 3 countries that are most heavily impacted, the hot zone countries in West Africa: Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. And I understand from what you've said that there's additional step up of CDC personnel assisting in the airport screening in the countries themselves.
How difficult will that be, though? Because in the case of this person in Texas, there are allegations that he wasn't entirely truthful as he was making passage through the airport. So we're really relying on people, if this was the case, in fact, telling the truth and saying that they were in contact with someone.
You're absolutely right. The screening is reliant on 2 metrics. One is thermal temperature indications of whether people are feverish, and secondly is voluntary disclosure on where they have been and whether they have been exposed to people with Ebola. And if people choose not to disclose that information, how do you verify that they are being truthful? That's very, very difficult. I think there's a problem here. It's going to be difficult. The thing to keep in mind also is that people come to the United States with visas, and the numbers of people coming from these countries to the United States are, in relative terms, fairly small numbers per year, and most of them are coming to visit family members. And I think through some combination of heightened interaction with people who are coming, we can get some greater measure of confidence. But I don't think it's going to be possible to have a foolproof measure of confidence. I want to add also that You know, for many people who are health workers operating in this region, who are routinely put into dangerous and vulnerable positions where they are possibly getting exposed, those people are subject to a 21-day voluntary quarantine when they leave the zone. You could see more and more people being asked to do that if there's a suspicion that they have been exposed.
All right, Stephen Morrison from CSIS here in Washington, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.